Hi, everyone. Today is Thursday, November 5, 2015. Welcome to the newest episode of What's New in Google Maps APIs, where we bring you the latest and greatest in the Maps API space for our users, developers, and customers. I'm Ajay Hemnani, and I'm part of the Google Maps for Work team here in our Mountain View office. And today I'm joined by my colleague, Elena Kelareva, who is a product manager for our Maps API products and has worked closely on most of the new features we'll be talking about today. Elena, it's good to have you.
It's great to be here, Ajay. So I'm dialing in from the Sydney office today, which, as you can see, is very Maps themed. I'm the product manager for the Web Maps APIs, which includes the JavaScript Maps API, Static Maps API, Street View API, as well as all the web services like geocoding, directions, and roads. And I'm excited to tell you about a few new features and new developments on the APIs that we've launched recently. So there's four things I'll present to you today. First of all, we've just launched a standard plan for the Maps APIs that lets people buy web services quota online with a credit card. Secondly, we have a new feature in Directions and Distance Matrix API called Predictive Travel Time, which lets you improve your applications with the power of Google's traffic data. Thirdly, we've just launched the ability to add labels to markers in the JavaScript Maps API. And finally, we've launched a refresh of the controls in the JavaScript Maps API.
Awesome. I really can't wait to get started talking about these new features. And I know one thing that will definitely excite our developers is standard plan. Elena, please tell us more.
So the standard plan basically gives developers a simpler purchase option for web services. You can just buy online with a credit card and get started straight away. For the first time, this also brings Google's premium features to customers to sign up with a credit card. So for instance, all developers can now get access to traffic in Directions and Distance Matrix API. So you can find travel times from A to B with the actual live traffic.
Wow, so that does give our developers a whole new option to buy additional web service requests. And it costs 50 cents for an additional 1,000 requests, you said?
Yes, that's right. If you need very high usage of web services, you may be able to get cheaper pricing with volume discounts. But the standard plan makes getting started much easier for developers. And it also lets developers try out the premium features for a much smaller price.
Very cool. That's indeed great news for our developers. Now, I know you want to tell our viewers about predictive travel time, and I'm super excited about this new feature. I always use Google Maps to check the best route so that I spend the least amount of time stuck in traffic. And with predictive travel time, planning a trip way ahead of time is now going to be possible for our users. Elena, please tell us more about this.
So the Directions and Distance Matrix APIs have been used by developers for a long time to calculate travel times with live traffic. We've just extended that from just being available for the very near future to indefinitely far in the future to help developers with planning applications. So even if you're planning deliveries for next week, you can get estimates for what the traffic is likely to be to help you out with planning.
That sounds good. And so one question I have is this going to be available through the JavaScript API or only web services?
Yes, it's available in both the web services and JavaScript API. So in the JavaScript API, it's currently available to our premium customers only. The web services are available to both premium and the new standard plan customers.
That clarifies. Now, how do we deal with the fact that traffic can vary so much between a good day and not such a good day?
So we let developers tell us what type of traffic model suits their application best. Obviously, because traffic on a good day compared to traffic on a bad day varies so much, we let developers choose between whether they need an optimistic travel time or a pessimistic travel time or a best guess. Now, I might just switch over to the demo to show you how this works. So here's a demo of using Distance Matrix to calculate travel times from Times Square in New York to 5 different grocery stores. Now, New York, of course, gets very varying traffic between good conditions versus bad conditions. So I can show you how it works depending on whether you choose optimistic, pessimistic, or best guess for travel time. So in good traffic conditions, the travel distances to these grocery stores are all a little bit below the typical travel time. On the other hand, in bad traffic conditions at 10 a.m. on a Monday, the estimated time can be as much as double what the typical travel time is. The best guess traffic model tells you our most likely estimate of what the travel time will be, given what we know about the traffic conditions right now. Now, given that Monday is still quite a way away, traffic conditions right now won't have that much of an influence. So this will be basically the typical travel time. So the kinds of situations where you'd use each of these traffic models. The pessimistic time might be, say, you're trying to schedule drivers for a delivery and you want to make sure your drivers always have enough time between jobs that they don't run late. So in that case, you might want to use the pessimistic traffic estimates to schedule your deliveries to leave enough time between successive stops. On the other hand, the optimistic model, suppose you're building a thermostat application and you want the thermostat to turn on early enough so that when your user arrives at home, the house is at the right temperature. So you want to use the optimistic travel time so that even if your user happens to have really, really good traffic, the house is still at the right temperature when they arrive. And the best guess gives you the most likely travel time. So if you want to give your user an estimate of what their likely travel time is going to be, best guess is the traffic model you want to use. So since predictive travel times is available even to standard plan users in Directions and Distance Matrix API, any developer, even if you're not already using Distance Matrix and Directions, can sign up immediately online to use this feature. Premium plan customers, if you already have access to Distance Matrix or Directions API, you just get this automatically. If you're not currently using Distance Matrix or Directions, you can contact your account manager to get access. And take a look at this link to the docs if you want more information.
Thank you, Elena. Now, next on the list is marker labels. This has been available on Google Maps, and now developers can use the JavaScript API to do the same. Can you tell us more on this, please?
So the marker label feature lets developers add a single letter or single number to their markers. It's a pretty simple feature, but it's really great for improving the usability of applications with lots of markers on a single map. So I'll show you another demo to illustrate this. So in this demo, basically the markers indicate the locations of 7 of the Google buildings in Mountain View. And you can see how it immediately makes it easier to refer to a particular building. And you can see, you can imagine a website having some text description on the side explaining what each of these markers refers to. So if you have a map with really large amounts of markers and you want to be able to distinguish markers or point them out to your users, marker labels may help with that.
Great, this looks really cool. Now developers can use labels to add more meaning to their markers. Next new feature we want to show our viewers is the new controls, the UI elements on top of the map that let you switch between map types, zoom in and out, and of course the pegman. Elena, why don't you tell us what's happening with these?
So we've just launched an update to the JavaScript Maps API controls to give them a more modern look and feel, and to make them more consistent with other Google Maps products. The new controls are also more consistent between mobile and desktop, and they match the user experience that users expect these days from Google Maps. Let me just go to the demo to show you how the new controls look. So this demo shows an example of how the new controls will look on a map. One example of something that's changed is the zoom control. Previously, it was in the top left corner, and the zoom control was long and thin with quite small buttons and a slider. Now the zoom controls move to the bottom right corner. The buttons are bigger and consistent between desktop and mobile, so they're a size that's easier to press on mobile. And it's also consistent with other Google Maps products. The pegman's also changed a bit. He now looks a bit shorter and fatter. And some of the other controls have also moved around slightly or changed the look and feel. So for full details of how the controls have changed, take a look at the URL on the slides.
This is exciting, and the new controls do look a lot better, especially the pegman. He looks happier, I think. Although, is there a way to opt out? Let's say you want to test things out before you deploy this change?
Yes, the old controls are available as an opt-out until August 2016. So the new controls became the default in version 3.22 of the API. So currently that's the experimental version. It's just about to roll over to become the release version in mid-November. So that's when most customers will start seeing it on their websites. I'd really encourage all of our viewers to try out their sites with the new controls sooner rather than later, in case you decide you wanted to make any changes to your site before the control style changes in the API version that you're using. And if you do decide you need to opt out while you make changes to your site, it's just the one-line change to your site. So you just add the Google Maps control style Azteca parameter. And there's a bit of a story around that. Azteca is a type of horse. And we decided on the team that we're going to name things like control parameters and design styles after various breeds of horses.
Thank you so much, Elena. All these new features look really great. And just to quickly recap, today we talked about standard plan, giving our developers an alternate way to commerce with us. Then we talked about predictive travel time that users can use to plan their journey ahead of time with 3 different options of traffic model. And finally, we talked about updates to the JavaScript API, giving developers the ability to label their markers and users to play with our new controls. Thanks again, Elena, and everyone. This concludes this episode of What's New in Google Maps APIs. Thanks for spending time with us, and see you in the next episode.
Thank you all for watching, and thanks, Ajay, for presenting this.